Good morning. It's a
Good morning.
Thursday. Free agent frenzy day 3, 4, whatever. They're all blending together now. Hey, so once again, two Packer fans and two Bear fans walk in a bar, and then in walks a Raiders fan. Oh, I gotta get my outlay. In walks a Raiders fan. There we go. Now we got our Raiders fan there. So it's another day of Ken and Ken in the morning. More free agent news that's happened. Um, some drama late last night in the league. A big trade that got squashed by the Vikings yesterday as well. In fact, a lot of yesterday's news had to do with the Vikings. Not much else. And then of course we've got some Justin Fields news. That's not news. That's more of a what the hell is going on with the news. So we've got some stuff we can cover over the next hour. But the biggest news, of course, yesterday came late after the Valhalla Hour had their podcast, was that Kirk Cousins said during his presser yesterday that he had talked directly to the Atlanta Falcons during the negotiating period. So Valhalla Hour guys, all of a sudden their chat room went into overdrive because they're saying, hey, this is tampering. The Atlanta Falcons tampered with Kirk Cousins and we want draft picks. So wow. Is this a nothing burger? Is this a come on, man moment? Or do you think there might be some legs here?
Yeah, no, this is a reach by the Vikings because they got nothing out of the deal. You know what I'm saying? Kurt leaving, they feel like it's a bad taste in their mouth, and they're just reaching. I mean, it's if Kurt admitted that, I mean, he's a fucking idiot. I mean, it could be tampering it. I mean, and then they will get picks, but I mean, to me, it's just it was going to happen, bro. It was going to happen, and if this is just their way of lashing out to get something, I guess whatever. But to me, it's kind of cheap.
I mean, Joe, who's driving to a secret location. If it was during the legal tampering period, I mean, how could that be my first thought was like this. He said, during the negotiating period, I had direct contact. That's close to the direct quote. You know, that's paraphrased probably. Well, it is paraphrased. How would that be tampering if it was during the negotiating period?
That's not tampering.
And look, if a Raiders fan is telling you that, it's got to be true, right, Ken?
The Raiders sure do know how to bend the rules.
That's what I'm saying.
Tampering. We've never been busted for tampering. So maybe we do know how to do it right.
No, Joe, you have not been busted for it yet. Let's get this.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. Yeah. You're really good at it.
But Ken, we did get somebody that ended up reneging on their deal, like we were talking about.
Yeah, we can go. So, yeah, let's set the table though. I don't think we talked about it on the show.
We did.
Yeah, we did for a moment, and then we had a lengthy discussion in our back chat. And the question I posed was, so someone going to renege, and everyone's like, oh no one's gonna do it. And then we said, well, wait a minute, it's been done. And then Ken, what happened yesterday?
The Cowboys are signing former Chargers linebacker Eric Kendricks. Kendricks had agreed to a term with the 49ers, but decided that he wanted to go reunite with them. After he shook his hand and said, you got a deal. You know what? In that case, I think I'm going to go with my buddy, and you guys can pounce in.
So
wow. In Texas, a handshake is a agreement. Do you know that? It's a binding agreement in Texas. It's an old timing law, but I mean, if you shake on something, holy shit, bro.
So does that mean the 49ers should go to a Texas court and sue them?
I get it, bro, but still, that's shady, bro. You can't just like say I'm going to come play for you and then get a better offer from Jerry Jones. What the
Honestly,
fuck?
they should be tampering. They should be happy that he's moving on to Dallas, because any dude that would want to play for Dallas more than San Francisco, like looking at where their trajectories are and everything, you have to question that dude's level of intelligence to begin with. So
there you go. You got that right, Joe. You got that right. I mean, Dallas is one playoff win in like 4 appearances in the last straight 4.
The Niners were just in the Super Bowl, and you're like, hey, nah, I don't want to go to like a team that's going to be winning for the foreseeable future. Like I'll go to a team that's going to be one and done next year. You know.
I mean, I just thought, just like, okay. I mean, that guy, like, you're not getting another contract during that period. No one's going to talk to you because you've already shown that you're not trustworthy too.
You're not trustworthy.
He's not trustworthy. Like, he agreed to a deal, and then, well, the very next day, oh well, you know what, I'm going to go to Dallas. I mean,
it wasn't even the next day. It was later that same day because his deal with the Niners was in the morning, and it was like late afternoon, early evening. He switched over to Dallas, so he gave them the hard finger.
Now look at I'm not. At least it was a player that did this and not a team, because the Bears very easily, and Mike the Bear fan, you can chime in on this one. I think like when we came out with Swift, we talked about yesterday. Oh, do you guys, hindsight being 2020, the Bears could have easily said, "Hey Swift, sorry bro, Aaron's coming here instead. Hey Aaron, forget those guys in Minnesota. You want to come here. In fact, I'll even throw in an extra $50 just so we can say it was more money." And that gives you, cover with Minnesota, and you don't like those guys anyways, and just come here and play for the rival. And the Bears could have done that, right? Because, like I said, it was a handshake deal, didn't mean anything. Yeah. And at least the team didn't stoop to that level. It was a player, and it speaks a lot to that player's character to have agreed to a deal and then back out. I get, and people go, "Oh, but dude, it's business." Yeah, okay, it's business, but. You just
not once you already made the deal. That's pushing it too far.
I mean, I know Mike the Bear fan. I'm not sure if he's at the mic right now or doing his producing guru wizardry stuff back there. But I mean, if the Bears had done that, Rob, if the Bears had told Swift, "Hey, dude, sorry, man, I know we agreed to it, but we can't go forward. Aaron is coming here." Would you have blamed the Bears for doing it?
Look, after how the Packers did Aaron, I don't blame him for anything, man. I mean, but here's my take, and I've changed and this is because of this Aaron Jones deal that I think every player, and this is why I don't fault JJ for trying to get as much money as you can. You should get as much money as you can in the early years. When you're at your top peak, you should get all the money you can, because eventually you're going to be aging out and you're going to get slower and they're going to offer you less money. And that's when you need to take those kind of deals. Aaron Jones should not have taken any deals early on when he was worth every penny we were giving him. Yep. He took those deals because he thought that the team was going to stay with him and make sure he's a Packer for life. And the minute the dollar wasn't where they wanted it, they fucking just 86'd them. And to me, that's fucking. I'm a Packer fan for life, but what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, bro. And that was wrong.
Well, the problem.
And I think every player, I say, fuck you, Vikings. You pay JJ every penny he's fucking worth, or he's going to go somewhere else.
Well, with the Aaron Jones, he took a pay cut numerous times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he helped the team, not helping himself, saying, "Hey, I'm going to get help down the road." Well, when the road came down to it, let's reconstruct again. Well, hold on. I'm already.
That's why I say every player should get what they should get. If you're worth that money, you should get it as hard as you can, because eventually you're not going to be worth that dollar, and they're going to ask you to take a pay cut to keep playing.
Not just worth it, though. He earned it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, 100%. I'm 100%. Dude, Aaron Jones is a ride or die. I hate that he's playing for the purple now. It fucking sucks. But, bro, I don't wish no bad upon that man whatsoever.
Right.
And Rick brought up a good point in the back chat. He was talking about it. He goes, this might be his last year playing, because he's already 30 years old. He's going to be 31. Yeah. Who's going to give him another contract?
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Hey, Joe, I'll take a coffee and a breakfast sandwich while you're placing that order, man.
And back to the Swift thing with Ken. I personally like the Swift move.
Yeah, so do I.
For the offense that we run, he works perfectly.
What did you think about Woody's rant yesterday? Because he fucking straight up said, "Fuck you on that."
Yeah, Woody doesn't like certain players. The Eagles players he dislikes, whoever that may be.
I forgot about that. He's a hater.
But yeah, remember what we were talking about, Ken, about the Ridley compensation pick? I was correct. The Falcons, Atlanta acquires the number 79th pick overall in next month's draft because
third round, right? Yeah, third round.
The 79th overall.
Yeah, it's third. That's the third round.
It's third round pick.
But
So
we
the
Wow.
deal with that, so really Calvin Ridley in a way screwed over. I guess we can transition to that conversation real quick. So in a way, Calvin Ridley, by signing with another team, screwed over Jacksonville twofold. One, they don't get to retain him. Two, they have to send Atlanta a third round pick for when they took him. They took him before on that trade.
it was in the contract.
On the trade. Now look, Calvin really did do him a solid though, because had he agreed to the term during the tampering period, it would have been a second. Well, it would have been a second round pick if Jacksonville had signed him before the new league year yesterday. But because the signing happened after the new league year, it was a third round pick. If it happened before the new year, it would have been a second round pick.
Look at the shady. That's them gaming that. They probably knew that ahead of time.
Oh, absolutely.
And so,
Well, no,
look,
but
we just got to wait
Jacksonville
till
didn't
after
sign
three.
He went to Tennessee.
Man.
He
Yep.
went to the Titans. So Ridley,
So-
in a weird way, screwed over Jacksonville, who now has to give up a third round pick for him to not play there next year. After they took a chance on him, when he was suspended for a year, they said, that's okay. We're going to trade for you. We'll wait the year for you to come back and then play for us a year. And then he bounces the first chance he gets.
Well, they should have never had that clause in there, being like, "Hey, if we re-sign you, we don't have to."
True
But
that,
if
Mike.
not, it's this.
True
Like,
that, Mike.
there's A, B, and C in that dilemma. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And regardless, at the
True
end of the day, if he would have left, regardless,
Who okayed that deal? Who okayed that part of the contract, right?
Yeah, right? Well,
So-
and here's
Speaking of messed up contracts, did you see the contract that Green Bay actually offered Aaron Jones? It was a $4 million base with 2 of incentives, so it wasn't even a full 6. And then that report that I heard that it was 7 point something was just pure bullshit.
well,
They
like,
did him dirty with that one.
Well, like, and here's the thing where I agree with Rob. Like, get your money early, right? But here's the other thing that now I transition to JJ. All right, dude, 130 million. You want 33 million a year? Got it, dude. How much money? So for some of these guys, this is the case, probably more than others. At what's the threshold that says I never have to work again? I can be like Ken and just wake up in the morning and not have to do anything, right? I mean, if you're making like Kirk Cousins. Like he got the GOAT of free agency is Kirk Cousins, right? I mean, look at even JJ Watt has anointed him the GOAT of free agency. The dude's made
Everybody has.
If he gets in this contract, he'll have made close to $500 million in his career. He'll never have to do anything again. He's never held out for money, right? He's bet on himself and gotten paid it, but he's never created like a JJ type situation. Like, I'm going to hold out or anything like that. But, like, if you're JJ, let's say, dude, $25 million a year. Let's say it's a 4-year, $100 million deal, $25 million a year, and you play all 4 years, you got $100 million minus taxes, fees, and 3% to your agent. Got it. So let's say you end up with 50% of that, just for sake of argument. You've got $50 million in the bank. Dude, you should not have to do anything. That's you're not just you, but 3 generations plus past you will never have to work a day in their life. So do you really need to hold out for the extra $1 million to $3 million a year at that point? So I agree with what Rob said to a point, and at some points, like, dude, I get it. You're still making generational family money where no one in your family is going to have to work for the next 200 years. I mean,
yeah, well, true. I mean, Cousins got his money early and he got his money late as well. You know what I mean? I mean, look at the overall price that he has made. How many Super Bowls has he got?
none.
Well, but bro, that's just it. People want that opportunity. They think they can fix that. That's the thing, is he's got the numbers to show you that he can take you there. And the problem is, does he have everything to go over? So a lot of teams think if they give him enough weapons, they can put him over the top. They're gambling on that. I mean, that's what it's about, bro. Everybody, you don't wake up to not play for the title, and that's what they're doing.
True, but make $40 million more in a career than Brady. Like, come on, look.
But they didn't have to sign him, bro. They could have left him in free agency. He was the top free agent quarterback, and someone was going to give him that money. Someone was going to give him that money. Period.
Mike, Brady may be the GOAT, Okay.
No, I'm
may
just
be-
saying he could have
But
did a cheaper deal. That's all I'm saying. Because
Yeah, no, I got it. I'm not.
But-
I'm not. I'm
but
not.
Cousins-
Mike, I'm not arguing with you, bro. I'm just.
No, you're right. No, you're right.
I mean, like Mike, though, like I was gonna say, though, Brady may be the GOAT. Cousins is the free agency GOAT. He just is. And Brady took some pay cuts or didn't try to demand a lot of money to stay with say New England.
All I can say is
Because
Cousins
they
should
were
make a
winning
book.
championships.
Know your worth. Know
Yeah.
your worth. Because
Who would-
And
that fool knows what he's.
And then
And
Brady
Brady, though-
is gonna be you like that?
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Who would've
right.
thought
right.
Ned
And
Flanders-
Brady makes his money in so many other facets that Kirk doesn't have. You know, do you see Kirk doing national TV commercials? Do you see Kirk doing that? No, he doesn't, right? He's just that awkward white dude who's trying to floss the ice right now in Atlanta. I mean, the picture with his two kids is priceless with the Dirty Bird chain. It's priceless. Even watching him yesterday post, like there's a video where they're showing him posting the statement from the Falcons that he signed, right? Even that is like the dude he's so awkward. He's just like that awkward next door neighbor who you really like. He's a really nice guy. The guy, if you need a cup of sugar, he'll give you a cup of sugar. You know, you're like, hey, dude, can I borrow your lawnmower? He's like, yeah, go ahead. He's the perfect next door neighbor, but he's just like this weird, awkward guy who's really nice and kind of cool. You like him, but he's just.
Who
Yeah.
would have thought Ned Flanders was such a financial genius?
There we go. He's Ned Flanders. He is Ned Flanders. That's a good way of putting it, Ken. He is Ned freaking Flanders.
Believe me, us Packer fans have been calling him Ned Flanders for a while.
For a long time.
I mean, but the guy.
That's funny.
I mean, you know what though? Here's the thing though. We've all. I don't know if you guys have watched Quarterback on Netflix. I watched it after last year. If you haven't watched it, watch it. And then after you watch the show, tell me how could you ever not like Kirk Cousins?
That was actually the reason why I didn't watch it, is because I didn't want to grow a like for a rival quarterback.
I'm telling you, bro. You watch that show, Bear Grylls. When I saw Drew Brees go on there and talk to Bear Grylls and just like that, just like see him humanized, I kind of liked him after that.
Oh my God! Speaking of Drew Brees, did you guys see the new? He's on a new reel that's floating around Facebook. Have you seen it? So
I don't know.
You know the guys who sit there and do this. You know the guy they very stone faced and they'll do like, what do you call a mountain with a cap? A snow cap. Those guys. He did a video with those guys, and he said, yeah, my parents." So Drew Brees is sitting there, and people are like, "Is this Drew?" He's like, "My parents raised me as an only child." That really pissed my sister off. And everyone's like, "Oh my!" And he did one of those. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's Drew freaking Brees." I mean, but yeah, Drew Brees is almost like Kirk Cousins in that regard. In some ways, I mean, Drew was always a little bit more hip, if you will. But Kirk, man, if you watch Quarterback, like the dude. And here's the thing, man, the dude's gonna now made about $500 million. You'd think he have like the big house, dude. He's got a normal like 4-3 in the suburbs. Like his next door neighbor is probably the manager of the Walmart. His other next door neighbor probably works in an office in a cubicle somewhere. His guy across the street is probably a firefighter or a cop or a nurse or some normal everyday job like you and I would have. I mean, he doesn't drive a flashy car. They've got like a minivan, you know. I mean, like,
why does that just track so much? I can just imagine Kurt pulling up to the stadium, just rocking his minivan, sitting there.
He does. And you know what the funny thing is, though? He plays into the whole chain thing and all that. He plays into it so, I won't say gracefully, but that's the only thing. So gracefully and effortlessly.
Because he knows he's such an odd duck that it kind of does give him a little bit of charisma because he's so weird.
If he's weird, but here's the thing: he's weird in a good way.
Yes.
He's not the kind of weird where you're going to say, "Kids, I don't want you to be like him." He's
a man of faith, bro. That's what it is. He's just a man of faith, and that's how he lives his life. It's clean, you know. There's nothing wrong with it.
No flash, just a normal 4-3. You know, he could be your next door neighbor. So if you're living in Atlanta, he might be your next door neighbor, dude.
Right?
He could be your. In fact, I got a buddy of mine who's also named Ken, by the way. who lives in Atlanta in the
Morning,
suburbs. Good morning, Yoli. Good to see you. And he lives in a nice suburb, just like a regular suburb that any of us would live in. I won't be surprised if I get a message from my buddy Ken in Atlanta going, dude, you'll never guess who moved into my neighborhood. Because he would. It's like a normal, that's Kurt. Oh, let me find a nice suburb, with nice everyday, people. And I don't need a mansion that's worth $8 million and I'm good. And I think, and there are other players like Brian Urlacher was like that. He was very low key, down to earth. In fact, I got a buddy of mine I know who lives by him. He's got a normal house like everyone else does. He doesn't have like a big mansion or anything. He's got a normal house. I agree with going back to what Rob said. Yeah, make your money, but at what point, I want 35 versus 32. Well, dude, at 32, you're set for life.
Yeah.
So it's okay. And I guess Dawn really wants us to talk about this. Okay, Dawn. Too bad about Aaron Jones going to the Vikings. But this is part of what we're talking about. They did him dirty financially. And then they did him dirty when he said, I don't want you to do me dirty. And they just cut him 30 seconds after agreeing to terms with Josh Jacobs. And then he gets paid. Not only is he getting paid by Green Bay, now he's getting paid by the Vikings. So the dude's going to.
Bro, he got cut because he's a victim of a deadline. If it wasn't for the time that it was, they had to make a decision. He had to decide: you're going to take a pay cut, otherwise we're going to lose Josh. So they did a deal, bro. I mean, I don't like how it ended up, but I think the Packers did what they thought was best for the team.
How much are the Packers paying him this year? I know there's a piece of that where they owed him.
Yeah, I think it's like 5 or something.
So look, the guys that make between the
$5
Packers,
million. You're right. For Aaron Jones, you're talking about it's $5 million.
So he's going to make $12 million this year between the Packers and the Vikings. That's good money for him. And I'm happy he's getting that because he deserves it because he's a game wrecker. He's been a solid player. He's been the consummate team guy who is willing to take a hit personally for his team. So he has honor, he has courage, he deserves all $12 million. And I hope he does get another contract after this, just because of the fact that he deserves it. I hate that he's at the Vikings because he's still in the division. You guys hate it because now he can come and hurt you, and he's got a reason.
Yeah, but in a year, you guys could go after him. What are you talking about?
I know. That's true. That's true.
Rob, you shut up right now.
He's like pretending like we don't know that.
If he goes to Chicago, I'm blaming you.
Bro, I'm not saying, bro. That's our bad because we released the guy. He can go anywhere he wants.
But does this the way that Aaron Jones got done? Does it make other players? I mean, it's not like they didn't know the league was like this already, but this is just such a reminder, right? It makes me wonder: are the days of taking team-friendly deals on the way out?
I would say. Every time we say yes, but every time we say yes, there's a guy who does it, right? So I think
exactly.
That's a guy who maybe doesn't know better.
Really on its way out, I think the players have accepted at this point that it's a dirty business.
I mean, look at the
right.
Rob,
I agree with you. I'm sure when they gave him the option to take a pay cut, they said, "Look, if you can't do this, you're going to do this for it. That doesn't guarantee your future." I mean, he's got to be an adult, and his agent's got to know that's in the hand, in the writing. Nowhere in the clause to say, "Well, we're going to help you out down the line." It doesn't say that.
With certain players, though, it depends on where they are in their career. Like you look at Brady. Brady had already made so much money. He's like, whatever. It's situational. Like certain players, like, okay, for instance, let's say they do this. Let's say JJ gets a 4-year, $130 million deal, right? And 2 years from now, the Vikes say, hey, dude, we need you to restructure in a team-friendly way. And by the way, we've already paid you $100 million because of all the guaranteed we gave you, whatever. Can you take a few bucks off? At that point, JJ's like, you know what, dude? I got $100 million in the bank. You know what I mean? Yeah, I can help. I can help a brother out because I want to win in a ring. So I think it's somewhat situational. I think, look at yesterday. Actually, yeah, it happened yesterday. Someone took a team friendly. Danielle Hunter took less money to go to Houston, gave them a hometown discount because he wanted to go home. So, but Danielle Hunter is at a point in his career where the extra $5 million didn't really matter to him.
Well, plus that was him making a personal choice. He wanted to go home. If he wanted the money, he could have went wherever the money was. It was a personal choice.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones didn't have a choice in this,
No.
bro.
And then not only that, if you compare the Vikings to Houston, Houston has a hell of a lot better chance of getting back to the playoffs than
Oh,
the Vikings
Man,
do.
See, I think that actually played into Danielle Hunter's decision too. Is like he saw what they're building in Houston, and he's like, "Hey, if I leave a little meat on the bone, we can go get somebody else on top
but
of it."
it wasn't just it wasn't Minnesota. He rebuffed like a couple teams that are doing the same thing though, Joe. So yeah, I agree with you on that part of it, right? Houston's doing something special, but I think was it Atlanta? There was another team or two that was like okay, like if he could have gone there, that would have been something special too for that team. And he just I want to go home. But so I think you'll see team friendly deals for guys like Danielle Hunter. Like, dude, I've got more than enough money to sustain me, my kids, their kids, and their kids. So I'm gonna take less money on a hometown discount to go where I want to go. And then you'll have the guys who are just stupid and do what Aaron Jones did, thinking the team's gonna take care of them when they never will. And Sully, speaking of the Vikings, Sully's here. So
Sully.
Sully. So are
Yes,
you guys
Ron,
looking
it's
for
terrible.
that comp pick? Look at he's woo sign. You looking for that comp pick? You want that comp pick for Cousins because they were tampering. They were tampering with them.
Do you think they were tampering, Sully?
Boo.
With Kurt, you think Atlanta was you didn't hear all about that?
I've heard rumor that Minnesota was negotiation, and it was pretty much a bidding war with Atlanta. Atlanta had more money.
So yesterday, Sully, to catch up, if you didn't hear that, came out very late. So if you didn't hear it, I don't blame you. So after Valhalla Report did their show, which ended at 8:30 Central, I think it was about 9:15, a story broke on PFF or one of those. Yeah, I think it was PFF that Kirk Cousins said during his presser yesterday that he had direct contact with the team during the quote-unquote negotiating period of the deal he had just signed. So then, of course, Valhalla Hour Report guys, their chat blows up in the hyperdrive. It's like, well, wait a minute. That's tampering. We get a comp pick.
I did not hear that. That's interesting to know.
So
it's not, Sully. You know that's bullshit.
Yeah, because if it was here's the thing though. Even if they're like, oh, Kirk's a dumbass for saying, like, look, if it was during the negotiating period, and if the negotiating period was during the legal tampering period,
that's why they call it that.
And it wouldn't be tampering where you get a comp pick. Now, if it happened, let's say on last Friday, well, yeah, that'd been tampering.
That would have been.
But if it happened on Monday for an hour before, because he didn't sign initially, right? He agreed like a couple hours in, it's like 4 or 5 hours, 3 or 4 hours in. So if they call them at noon and say, all right, it's the tampering period. So Kirk, what do you think about this deal that's going to make you the GOAT of free agency for all time in memoriam? That's not tampering, is it?
I don't think because the story didn't break out that he signed with Atlanta to like around maybe it's 12 or 1 o'clock my time. That's when
it was a couple hours in.
Yeah,
it wasn't right away.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Since the Bears were the first one with the deal already in place, the second it opened, how did you guys have that deal in place if that wasn't tampering? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think it was like within 3 minutes of being open, we had signed him. And look at and it was and then the stories come out. Well, it's even better, Rob. Rob, this is where it gets even better. Then Saquon signs, right? Like an hour or two later, and the article comes out that for the Bears were one of 3 teams in the finals. It was going to be either Philly, Chicago, or I can't remember what the third team was. Or Texas, I think, for Saquon, right? And Saquon chose to go to the Eagles because he probably wanted to stick it to New York, right? Okay, well, wait a minute. So if Swift was plan B for the Bears and Saquon was plan A, and they signed Swift 3 minutes in, how the hell did they know that they had to go to plan B at 3 minutes in or 1 minute in if there hadn't been some kind of conversations with agents or something beforehand?
There was major talk from somebody around Saquon that's what Saquon was going to do, was go straight to the Eagles, and that it almost wasn't even going to be any other options. He was just going straight there.
Right, but I mean, but you're talking like Rob said, the Bears made the choice to announce Swift signing, like, okay, and we're ready to start the legal tampering period. Wait, Chicago, you gotta wait. Let me finish the sentence before you hand me the slip. Okay, and we started.
Like
Chicago has signed Swift because they no sooner did they announce, no sooner did the period start, like, and you got to figure by the time it got to Twitter and everything else, it was only like 3 minutes after the start, which means that at the deadline, at noon, Ryan Poles is calling up the NFL saying we're signing Swift, right? So, I mean, what I guess here's the question. We need a better definition of what is tampering and what is not, because is it illegal for a team to talk to a player's agent to say, hey, look, what would be the theory of Saquon coming to Chicago when the tampering period opens to agree to a deal? What would it take? Is that illegal or is that not illegal? You're not talking to a player, you're talking to their agent.
Yeah, I think there's the back channels that they're going through to get these deals done. And that maybe if they can't talk to the player or the agent, they're somebody relays a message through the guy's cousin or ex-teammate.
Players doing it for them.
Something like that.
I was just going to say, does anybody here on the panel honestly believe that illegal tampering doesn't happen with every team?
No,
like,
Bears
they
fans
have a legal tampering period for a reason, because people have been illegally tampering for so long that they're like, all right, we're going to make it legal for this amount of time.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised if they're sending guys into the grocery store, like DeAndre Swift is in the grocery store and some dude comes up to him at Whole Foods and he's just like wearing a Bears shirt.
Their car tapping the boat together at the pasta aisle. Hey man, what's up? I'm just here shopping. Hey.
Yeah, the person really probably in the bathroom taking a leak. Some dude's already sitting there in the car. Hey,
what's up, bro? I got the best one. I'm on vacation in Puerto Vallarta, hop in the hot tub. Oh, hey, Matt Stafford, playing for the Detroit Lions. Hey, you know what? Yeah, let's see. Hey, how you doing? Good vacation? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks. We had a great year. Yeah, I know quarterback's been in it. Really? I wonder. Hey, let's grab some beers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how is the whole Matt Stafford thing not tampered? But at the same time, they happen to be on vacation in Puerto Vallarta, so okay. But here's the thing too, like with the Bears, and here's a good point to that, Joe. Is this? People are like, Bears fans are like, well, you haven't said anything about Young, right? Well, dude, you don't have to. Well, he's not coming to us. They're not saying he's coming to do a team visit here. Well, but Chase Young doesn't have to do a team visit. But why? Dude, do you think we haven't asked Montez Sweat a million questions about him already? And you think Montez Sweat hasn't already talked to Chase Young, say, hey, dude, what would it take for you to come join me in Chicago? Hey, Ryan, I talked to Chase here. They said, hey, give him $11 million a year. And he wants this, that, the other. All right, cool. And then, hey, that's why there's no visit. The Bears don't need a visit from Chase Young because their visit from Chase Young is to talk to Montez Sweat.
I think that's how teams get away with it, is that they have their players do the tampering for them, because players play for different teams. They know guys from a lot of different teams. They get their phone numbers in the off season. They hang out, so they probably knew Chase Sweat was, or Chase Young was going to be a free agent. They knew who he was interested in before the free agency period started.
Yeah, and
breaking news. I now know for a fact Green Bay will not be signing Chase Young at all because John Dorn has already started to hate on him. The Minister of Propaganda, Propaganda has spoken.
Yeah, they might have been talking to Sweat the Bears there, and he might have said, you know what, I actually don't want to play with this guy on the team. And that could very well be why there's no visit schedule, nothing going on.
Oh yeah, Ken, exactly. I mean, the inverse of what I said is
that's
true.
The other shoe dropping, Ken.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, but look, I said it the other way, but what Ken said is also, the other thing. Like, hey, Montez, do you want to even look at this guy? Nah, man, I don't want to play with him again. He's a diva. He's this. He's that. He's the other. It cuts both ways, Ken. But I mean, for Bears fans though, who want Chase Young, they don't have to have a visit because they already have the source. They got a guy who played with him for 3 years in Washington. So they got a guy who knows him better than anyone else in the organization, or a 30-minute meeting with Ryan Poles.
That's true. Both sides are valid points. I'm just saying that's the other side of it. I mean, Ken just brought up the other side of it. That's all.
Yeah. And Chase would go, "Hey Ryan, the guy's great when he's on, but you know what? He's off more than he's on. Let's look elsewhere." And that happens all the time. Now, Darnell has a question here, and he says, "What are we doing at the QB position?" I'm assuming, Darnell, you're talking about the Bears. So I want to touch on. I don't want to go in depth on Justin Fields. However, Rob and I talked about this before the show. And here's what an article came out in Bleacher Report today, and this is where I think it's so freaking hilarious. The title of the article is "Chicago still is was." Well, let me see if I can pull up the exact article so I can give you. Yeah. That's free agency article. It says Chicago still hope to trade Fields. That's the article. So if you look at the article headline, Chicago still hopes to trade Fields. Okay, let me open the article. Nothing in the article says that the Bears want to trade Justin Fields. Nothing in the article says that they want to keep Justin Fields. The whole article is based on assumptions by the author, assumptions by the media in general, because the Bears have given no indications. Well, when do teams ever give indications of what they're doing with their poker hand? So this question here is interesting because what are we going to do about quarterback? Well, right now, the answer in Chicago is simple. You still have a QB1 on your roster. Until Ryan Poles does something like trade the number 1 pick, draft a new quarterback, or trade your existing QB1, your plan in Chicago as it was. Justin Fields is still your starting quarterback until Poles does something different. Now, what will Poles do? Well, obviously, the cheesy answer, which is also the correct answer, is only Poles knows. However, Darnell, no, not everyone in Chicago knows that Justin Fields is out of there because, like on the House Hall report, we all think he's staying. I have plenty more Chicago fans already, that I know, like Cam here, right?
Look, there's another thing. Yeah.
It's non-Chicago fans like John Dorn who say stuff like this, who believe that Fields is gone. If I talk to the other 3 fan bases, they all give me an argument as to why Fields needs to be gone and why they need to draft Caleb Williams. They all do it. Well, they don't do it because they want the Bears to be better. Hey, where in North Florida are you at, Michael?
Honestly, I don't see anything happening. Even if they do decide to trade Fields, I think it's going to be a draft night decision because they're not gonna tip their hand and let everybody know what they're gonna do because the pick is for sale. I mean, potentially for sale. Like they don't want to talk themselves out of a potentially franchise changing haul if by saying, hey,
besides
all Caleb at 1 no matter what, right? So I think,
and besides all that, it's not going to affect anything. They could trade Fields after the draft. I mean, you know what I'm saying? If they take a quarterback or whatever,
I think
but that's what I'm saying. It's not going to happen till that day, till the draft comes. It's not. Nothing's going to happen until then.
Look, let me walk the dog in a different way. A week ago, there was all this buzz about trading Justin, right? Oh, Atlanta. Oh, he's going to be a Steeler. Oh, he's going to go here, right? Free agency happens. Bears don't try to sell him. It was funny because you have your insiders, right? One of the insiders, he's being shopped. The other insider, the Bears haven't even tried to shop him. Okay, so which is true? They can't even figure it out amongst the insider experts, right? So nothing happens. Oh, well, now, teams view him as a backup maybe. Really? No, if he went to Washington, he'd be the starter. If he went to Minnesota, he'd be the starter. If he went to a lot of teams, he'd walk in. If he went to the Raiders, even with their OC, he'd be a starter, right? So, but now what? But now look, hold on. Let me finish the circle here. Last week, Fields had all this value. Now he has none because why? They're drafting a quarterback. So now what has more value today than it did last week? The number 1 pick. So, I mean, if you're looking at it from that standpoint, and here's Poles. He's just sitting back like he knows what he's going to do. He's probably laughing. He's watching. If his plan, like I've contested, is to sell the number 1 pick to Washington or New England so he can get paid to take Marvin Harrison Jr., right now he's like, yeah, come on, pay me. And you know what? If he wants to go past Marvin Harrison Jr. and say, fine, I'm gonna bypass him and I'm fine with Adunez or Neighbors. Hey, Raiders, you said you want to give me a blank check with as many picks as I want? Bring it. I'll go to 13 and take your number 1 next year, your number 1 the year after that, and your 3rd rounder this year, and your 5th rounder this year, and your 2nd rounder next year, and your 2nd rounder the year after that, and your puncher because mine sucks.
Hey,
but you know what though? He can do that.
Crazy.
The whole Marvin Harris.
We're not
Jr.,
giving up our punter though. We have one of the best punters in the game. He's
the
staying.
Marvin Harrison Jr. It's not far fetched. I mean, they released Darnell Mooney, so I mean you're not completely off your rocker if you said Marvin Harris Jr. in the draft for the Chicago Bears.
Well, I think that's the preferred target. And right now, well, I mean, he's a preferred target, I think, because he's already got a rapport with Justin and DJ. They're all friends. They've been talking all year. They've been working out. They've been posting stuff on Instagram, on X.
I just don't think it's ironclad. Like I think you could convince them to take Neighbors or Odunze if the price was right.
You're right, Joe. But if you look at our roster right now, our number 2 and 3 receiver is not that great. It's literally Tyler Scott and Velus Jones Jr. We're gonna address exactly. But my point is, we gotta address the wide receiver, and what we did in free agency, we haven't addressed that quite yet. I think they will. You know what I mean? But right now, it's definitely Marvin Harrison Jr. without a fact. Looking at our roster.
And you know what?
We got about $49 million.
Hey, Rick's in the comments.
Rick's in the comments.
The whole freaking, that's a lot of picks. I know. I was saying
you can only do the next 3 years.
And you know what, Rick? Though, and Rick, 2 things. 1, I'm the one who posted your comments, so I don't want to hear it in the back channel. 2, and you know what, Rick? Vegas, like Joe said the other day, we'll give you a blank check, take as much as you want. So
yeah, Joe was saying the other day, he'd give a haul.
He'd give a haul. So I mean. And you're right. Adunez or Neighbors would be. I mean, it's for the wide receiver. It's 1 A, B, C, and then the rest. And yeah, and Sully, you're right. We let, and I hope he turns it around in Atlanta because Mooney was really good that 1 year, and then like he had a little bit of injury issue last year, and this year he had the dropsies and everything else. So I hope the change of scenery and everything helps Mooney because I like the kid. He's actually a really nice kid. He wasn't getting it done in Chicago for what maybe. I think part of the problem in Chicago for him was this. He thought he had in his head he was a number 1. And when they brought in DJ, he couldn't get his head wrapped around that he's a 3, right? Or 2. But I mean, look, we can sell that number 1 pick now, and you can either pay us to take the quarterback, the anointed one, or you're going to pay us to not take Marvin Harrison Jr. Either way now, Poles is going to get paid, and you're going to get one of the top 3 receivers in the draft. You're going to get a haul of picks to fill your other positional needs on this team. And then you open yourself up at 9 that depending on where you go in the draft and how it works, you could trade that one back as well. You could trade back twice in the first round. Now in 2025, I might have 3 first-round picks. In 2026, I might have 2 or 3 first-round picks. I mean, walk the dog on this. Take your emotion out about whether you feel about Fields or Caleb Williams or the numbers say this, the numbers say that. Look at the tactical advantage and all the outs Ryan Poles gives himself by trading out of number 1 this year. And he sets himself up. Justin Fields is a bum like you say he is. Like some of you like Darnell or John Dorn say he is. Cool, man. He can be a bum. And in 2 years, guess what? I'm drafting Arch Manning. I mean, what's wrong with that logic? Anything?
Other than the 2 years are going to drag by getting your ass kicked, but it's not a bad long distance plan, but those
Hey,
2
Ken,
years
But hey, to push back on that a bit, I don't think even with Fields that if the Bears get one of the top 3 receivers and let's say they trade with the Raiders and they go down to 13, right? They're still picking at 9, so they're going to get one of the top. They're going to get one of the top receivers, and then they can trade back at 13. I don't with the haul that they're going to get. I don't think they're going to be getting their ass kicked even with Justin Fields for the next 2 years. Like,
if I was Bulls man, I'm just going to surround the quarterback with talent. Go get MHK. Go get some, make the team up, and then after the draft or like you can decide on Fields. Your best quarterback was somebody you got in free agency. You could just go find another goddamn quarterback if Fields don't work out this next year. Honestly, that's your guys' MO. That's what you guys should do. Shit.
Hey,
I mean,
and if it doesn't work, you guys can grab Sam Darnold after next year. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. No, but I mean, look,
you didn't know Sam Darnold is now.
Darnell says, okay, who says we have the number 1 pick in 2 years? Dude, in 2 years, if I've got 2 or 3 number 1s, I can make a package to get him. I'm in a position where I have so much draft capital. I can say, you can take all 3 of my first rounders this year for the number 1. And I've already loaded the team up now with all this talent at wide receiver, on the lines, in the back, defensive back end, and I can go get them. I can make the deal. I mean, polls, and look, and Joe's right. John says we love being in the basement. I'll show his Homer trash talk post. Why? Because it's not, the Bears won't be in the basement. Because even if Fields, and here's the thing, has Fields regret? This is an honest question. I know I'll get an honest answer. If you look at Fields' numbers, has he shown regression in any one of his first 3 years in the league? From year 1, true rookie year, where he started the back half of the year, to his first full year starting to last year, has he shown you any signs of regression in his stats or numbers?
No, and I'm going to say you're right. He's gotten better every year. But his numbers right now, here's what his numbers average: 2,200 yards a year, 14 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions.
Yep.
That doesn't say starting good numbers. That's all I'm saying, bro. That's the other side of that.
But do you expect if the Bears actually do trade that pick, and let's say they get a Rome Odunze to pair with DJ Moore, do you think that his numbers don't go up?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they do. That's what that. I mean, Poles was smart. He gutted the team, and every piece he puts in, it makes them to get better. And of course, if you add more pieces to it, Fields is going to get better, bro. There's no way. I mean, you're taking the excuses away from him. Look, I set you up with a great team. Run with it. If you can't do it, I'm going to find someone who will. I mean, who's some of
these in the basement if they make that move? I think that.
I agree. I 100% agree. I think they get.
What did they get? 7 wins last year? I think if they go out and get a Dunze and then add some more talent to their team through this draft, they could be at 10 wins next year with Justin Fields.
And that's without a good quarterback. That's without a good quarterback.
Maybe that's. Well, I was going to say maybe that's the basement in the North, but because I don't know, because the Vikings might not be good. We have to see what they do at quarterback.
The Vikings are in a rebuild.
Rick,
I don't care what anybody says. The Vikings are rebuilding shit, bro.
Rick, show me where his accuracy. Rick says, it doesn't help his accuracy. Well, Rick obviously doesn't watch enough games because Justin, if you look at the balls where he misses last year, his ball placement's been phenomenal. He's putting the ball in places where only his receiver has the chance of getting it. He hasn't put the ball. If you look at his interceptions last year, almost all his interceptions, not all of them, because every quarterback does make bad mistakes here and there. Almost all his interceptions were from timing route issues. A receiver wasn't where they were supposed to be, but the ball was thrown blind to a spot, right? And his guy wasn't there. Dude's accurate. No one's doubting his accuracy, his arm strength. But if you give him more weapons, you give him a better line, that's a better pass blocking line, that's not 27th in the league like they are now, he is going to get better. And he's shown you every year when you've given him more tools, he doesn't get better. So if you do, and look, you know how I know we're right though too? The Carr brother that's on NFL Network, he's turning the narrative around on NFL Network to the Bears, keeping Justin. He did it 2 nights ago, and then the earpiece went off, and he said, but we know they're not going to keep him. Well, last night they had a full-on discussion where all 3 of the people he had on the show were talking on how the Bears are going to keep Fields and trade away the pick. Even NFL Network's starting to change the narrative now because they're starting to figure out what we're saying here. It makes sense for the Bears tactically and for Poles over the long term to keep Fields, who hasn't shown you any. Look, if Fields had showed signs of regression, I would agree with like the Rick Motts of the world who say you have to cut him, you have to take Caleb Williams. But he hasn't done that. He's shown you progression every year. He's gotten better. The team's gotten better. So the whole point of this whole conversation we were having here, though, is, well, why are we even having this conversation? Because the media goes, the Bears still want to trade Fields. And then when you read the article, nothing in the article says that the Bears want to trade Fields. Nothing in the article says they want to keep him. All the article says is Poles has never said anything one way or the other, which to any and all of us reads as this, those of us who know better. He's being a good GM and he's playing poker. He is playing chess while you are playing checkers, sports analyst. He is making you make wild assumptions because he's not giving you anything to write with.
Hey, John, can I want to get off the Fields topic. Is John?
Yeah.
I want to ask him about the torpedo deal on the Bengals in between the Bengals and the Vikings. Yeah. I want to ask about that if he knew about that.
Yeah, we got about 8 minutes left. That's a good way to end the show too.
What do you think about that, Joe? The deal for JJ going to the Bengals. They were going to swap T. Higgins and a couple picks. The Vikings torpedoed the deal. They don't want to trade JJ.
But how did they torpedo the deal?
They're the ones who said they don't want to do the trade. They vetoed whatever the ops. I guess, man, that's crazy.
I still don't. I don't think that's over with. I think they're basically playing hardball and they just want more. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals give it to them.
I was going to say, to add to that though, the Houston Texans. I've been hearing rumors that they are now involved in trade talks with the Vikings for Justin Jefferson.
Hey, and who
Joe said that yesterday? Joe said it yesterday.
Who said that?
Joe said it yesterday.
If he goes to Houston, they are going to be one unstoppable juggernaut, and Patrick Mahomes better hope he's got a horseshoe shoved up his ass for that one.
If he goes to Houston, I think they're a contender for the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, like instantly,
what they've already been doing.
Fans, let us know what you're thinking. Put in the comments, please, because I got nothing but Packer fans right now talking smack out here. Let me know, Viking fans. What do you think?
That's because they got no leg to stand on, man.
Well,
it's an ass-kicking contest, and they only got one leg.
The Vikings, see, I don't understand why the Vikings are trying. I mean, other than I think they want more in a trade. Like, I think deep down they realize that they're going to have to trade JJ because it just makes too much sense for your team to get those extra first-round picks. You're in a rebuild. Like, you need a quarterback. You need some pieces. You just lost Danielle Hunter. You need some pieces, dude. So it makes a lot of sense to trade him, get as much as you can for him, start your rebuild.
What's up, Eric?
Take his salary off the books, and then you still have Addison. It's not like you're bankrupt at wide receiver. Addison can step in and be your number one. And you can use one of those number ones and go get another guy.
They still have Hawkinson. I mean, they got some pieces, man. They just got Aaron Jones. I mean, bro.
It's not even really, if you really think about it, it's not even really a full rebuild. It's more of like a retooling. Like, they need a quarterback, but
hey, man, quit taking the Packer terms.
Well, you know what, though? I think that there's another piece of this, though, too. I think with that deal that was yesterday, by Cincy was this. They wanted to offer up T. Higgins and draft picks. The problem is, the difference in contract right now between T. Higgins and JJ is like a few $1 million because we're, believe it or not, JJ was drafted after T. Higgins. So T. Higgins is making a little bit more on their rookie contract. So, okay, it's a few $1 million more. But now it's like, why am I going to trade one headache for another headache? Because T. Higgins isn't exactly serious. T. Higgins, like, I want more money or trade me. Well, what's JJ doing? I want more money or trade me. So I'm going to swap.
But you could take T. Higgins out of the deal. Like, if I was the Bengals, I would say, look, okay, if you don't want T. Higgins, we'll cut him, and we'll just give you straight up draft picks. Like, we could just do it that way.
Plus, I mean, the difference is he's got Joe Burrows already throwing to him. I don't understand why he wants to go to the Vikings for no quarterback.
No, Rick, it's like $2 million. Go look at their contracts. They're both on rookie deals. The difference between the two is, like, I think one's at like 19 and change, the other's at 21 and change. It's not,
I think
like,
he's
maybe
about the deals they're going to command.
They're asking for, and Rick might be right with that, but I think T. Higgins thinks he's worth JJ money or close to, but I agree he's worth less. But
Then
look,
he
if
bumped
you're
his
going to
head.
pay JJ 35,
And then he
then
bumped his head.
he wants 30.
He tripped and fell out of the flight.
Yeah,
He must.
okay,
That dude
but
must have
it's
fucking
not
fell
that.
on his head.
No, it's the difference because right now, dude, look at right now. T. Higgins is making 20 mil a year, right? He wants probably 25 to 26 mil a year. You know, he's making it's almost closer to 22. I think is what he's making. He's going to want 25 to 26 easy. JJ wants at least 30. It's probably about a $5 million difference, but you're trading problem child for problem child with the talk. Now, Houston makes sense because they got some more money, right? They got the money. Higgins isn't getting 35 to 40, Rick. I agree. But I don't think JJ is getting 40. If a receiver's getting 40, then the league is screwed up. Worse than it already is.
Yeah, but I think JJ would take less money from Houston than he would from another organization from the Vikings. I mean, because there's no good quarterback there. But in Houston, there's a possibility for a bright future and multiple Super Bowls. I mean, there's a difference there. I think a lot of guys are okay with taking a little less for the championship.
I think JJ would be willing to take 25 in Houston because he sees what they're building there, and he's like, I have a chance to win championships here.
If it's the right team, he'll take less money, and then you know what, Minnesota.
I also think the Bengals too. I think he would take less money to go to the Bengals too.
Get a haul of picks, exactly. That's what. And Minnesota should just rebuild it. Fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like they don't have a good look at. They have a young wide receiver who last year when JJ went out, carried the load himself, can be a number one in this league. I mean, but at some point though, you can only pay so much money, Rick. And like if I got to pay my quarterback 45, 50 million and my receiver 40, and I only got 235 million to spend, I'm spending 90 million on two guys. I still got a team to fill.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised though if we keep seeing this cap explode closer to the amount we got this year. With all these deals that are getting done, and then it'll also get inflated contracts.
That sounds like a topic we can talk about tomorrow after that disappointing Ken take, because we always have to end on a disappointing Ken take, and maybe we can reach that tomorrow. Why we'll get more money in the league, free agency. But until tomorrow, thank you to everyone who's on the show. Thank you all for your comments. Everyone have a great day, and remember,
Packers suck.
He has time.
Take the North and never give it back.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!